you doing, y'all? HW here. Man, that's a good song, man. I ain't drinking any of that Tennessee whiskey tonight, but I'll tell you what I do have. I do have a McDonald's Coca Zero. What's up, y'all? You know, as 2024 comes to its exit, I was just thinking about some stuff, and a couple things popped into my head, 3 areas in my life where I really, I want to do things different in 2025. One is just this overall, level of contentness and productivity. And it's a little bit multifaceted, but it's the number one thing I want to do out of these 3, right? These are just 3 things that I want to do better. I need to do a better job at as I go into the next year, I think we can all relate. There's always stuff you feel like you're just not doing the absolute best. And for me, a lot of it's in this area of what I get done and how that correlates to the amount of stress that I put on myself, and then how that relates to the things that are truly important. I was talking to Brian from Worship Tutorials, and we were just chatting, and I was saying how this year I started unadding people who were negative towards me and my opinions on social media. And I said, now I don't get any negativity, and it's so great. And Brian said the wisest thing. I don't know if he quoted this from somewhere or it came from his beautiful brain. But he said, social media doesn't exist to stress me out. It exists for me to enjoy my connections with other people. And I thought, wow, that is really well said. And man, I think that's so true. I remember a couple years ago, I was really resolute that my position in the world of YouTube and Facebook and everything was just, I was going to raise my hand and say, this is what I'm about. This is what I'm doing. This is the stuff I make. And if you like it, cool, come gather around. If you don't, that's fine too, But here I am. Do you like it? Come around. That's the purpose of social media, the connections. Do you want to make a connection? And for me, it was here's the stuff I'm making. Here's what I'm creating over here. And I feel like I lost a little bit of that. I feel like in a lot of ways, it's something I spend time on for work. It's something I enjoy doing. But I get sucked in sometimes. And so one thing I really need to do better is let social media be a way I enjoy connecting with other people, and really limiting the amount of bandwidth I give it to cause me stress. And I feel like I've been doing that the last couple weeks, and it's really made me more productive. It's made me happier. And it's really allowed me to take inventory of what is really important. And this goes along with the second thing. I've been very discouraged at times by the response to things that I put out, by the response to videos and stuff. And what I notice is that when I get discouraged, it stops my output, and it makes me less joyful and gleeful about this awesome job I get to do. And I don't want to be one of those people who comes across there's kind of this trend on YouTube. It's YouTube's really hard. It's actually a lot harder. I always feel like those videos come across as very tone deaf, because some people dig ditches for a living. You know what I mean? And so this is not that, but I just noticed that there can be a mental health toll. But it really is up to each person to allow that stuff into your mind or not. And so in 2025, I want to really kind of get back to my roots of whatever, that person's opinion isn't going to affect me. It's a minority opinion, or if it's not, I'm going to choose to believe it is. And I'm just going to get back to doing what I do, doing what I love. And I really think I was able for a long time to counteract any negativity. Not that I get a ton of negativity. People are actually really supportive and stuff. But, I found that doing a lot of things for other people and putting your focus on other people really helped with that. And so this whole sort of thing I want to do better, and the first of 3 things that I want to do better in that I need to do better is just really more empathy. And I don't mean empathy in the sense of like, oh, there's the plight of these people in this part of the world and we need to send money. I think that's great. It's actually a very shallow empathy if you think about it, because it's easy to just feel bad, like, oh, there's a flood or there's a whatever. It doesn't actually take a lot of empathy. It might be a very valuable thing to do to help them, but it doesn't require a lot of empathy, which is why you see certain, when there's a tragedy, it dominates the news. Everyone's in agreement. It doesn't take a lot of empathy. It's very easy to see why you should feel bad for those people. But when I say empathy, I more mean like just the position of people, what it feels like to be in their shoes. And I really mean my customers and the community around guitar, not so much like around a tragedy or like a Goodwill or something, but really just like, what can people really use and what do they want and what do I wish someone had maybe taught me, or how can I make the best stuff for other people, rather than like what I think is just going to be like popular or well received or sell well, And that's why I really want to get back to my roots of like really making a lot of free stuff. I just made a free Kemper profile pack that's either out or it's coming out in the next day or two. I just made a free IR pack that's coming out, or it's just going to be out in the next day or two. And I have like a free Tonex thing and Quad Cortex that I've never put out on those devices, but it's already come out for Kemper. And that's going to be free. And I want to get back to that. I feel like that was really the roots of Tone Junkie, and that's something I need to do a better job of. I really need to do a better job of that. The other thing I need to do better is I need to like really allow myself a little more breathing room and not be so rush with a lot of stuff, so that I can do things better. But really, there's some tasks that I've just been really neglecting. One of them is the emails that I get. I get so many emails. That's not an excuse. That's just me saying, this is something that requires a lot of my attention to solve. And I'm open if other people get a lot of emails. I get a lot of like customer emails, and I try to prioritize those. But basically, the system I was using when Tone Junkie was smaller is just not working. I'm getting a ton of stuff filtering to spam. I'm getting a lot of things just piling up in Gmail on each other. And I try to get to everybody, but I just miss it. And it's a lack of organization on my part. I'm trying to like really clean up the studio and be more organized in this part of my life. And I need to be more organized in the digital part of my life. But if I'm honest with you guys, I'm a creative. I'm like a real creative. I don't mean like I'm just a guy who plays guitar. I have a really, I obviously have like an ADHD. If you haven't noticed that from the videos you haven't been watching, I have and it's something that I've learned to manage, and I've done better jobs at times than not. But I really do. I know that I have a bit of a wandering, personal inner narrative. That's why I'm able to just blab on a microphone for 2 hours. That is just me opening up my mouth to my brain. And so it is very much in my head, like squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. And it's just a personal choice. I don't really want to get any treatment for it. I'm not looking. I have lots of friends who have done that. I don't think that's for me. I think it's actually an amazing gateway to creativity. I know I see associations between things that people do not, and I think it's how God made my brain. And one of the problems, though, is that especially if I don't get enough sleep and I am not in a real place of contentment, and I don't really latch on to the meaning of my work, all of the more menial, mundane, less enjoyable tasks get pushed to the wayside. It's always been that way since I was a child. It's that way now as a mid-30s guy. And it's something I have to be very aware of. I've done a bad job with my customers and making sure I'm on top of everyone's email. I've had people go like, "Hey dude, I sent you 3 emails and I didn't hear anything." And I am as shocked as you. I am like, oh, and I go back and I read it and I go, oh my God, you read that on your phone and you told yourself you were right about to go to your desk and get to it. What did you do? And the truth is, I have no idea what distracted me, really. Or I can't tell you how many times this happens. I find drafts. If someone says, I emailed you, I never heard back. I go in, I have a 3/4 written email back to people in a draft and it's not sent. And I go, Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's it's kind of funny when you're a teenager. It's not that funny in your 30s and 40s to really like to do that. And it's something I really need to get better in. I've reached out to a couple people who I think are in who have like a similar job or career kind of like thing, and I'm asking them how they handle it because I think I need to implement a better system. I need to make sure that customer service at Tone Junkie is really just as good as everything else. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not that passionate about emails. I'm really passionate about guitars and pedals, man, and all that stuff. And so that's easy for me to focus on. It's challenging to focus on the other things. And the other thing I need to do better, I think we can all relate to this one. I need to sometimes take inventory of what's important and what's urgent, right? And a lot of times I just find myself like, I feel like I'm swimming in circles and I'm working so hard and getting very little done. And there's a high amount of stress. And if I'm really being honest, man, I have like a number of projects that I've told my kids I would do with them, like helping them with their YouTube channels. My younger son wants to learn how to edit videos. And my older son was asking about like, hey, can you like help me with my computer setup? I want to do this, but like I need your help obviously to do that. It requires tools and like mounting stuff to the wall. And it's like, he's like, this is what I want to get. Can I get that? Yeah, you can get it. Okay, we got it. Okay, well, can you like, it's going to require like a whole day's work to like get this screen mounted and move this and take this apart and undo the setup. I have no problem doing it for my son. But I've been telling him, oh yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to do that. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Hang on. I'm just a little busy. We're going to get to that. I've been saying that for a little too long. It's been like a couple months. And, just stuff like that, man. My other son, he like broke a piece of wood in his bedroom. And it's like, I was like, oh, I'm going to fix that. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to fix that. And that's that same thing is like, those tasks aren't that urgent, but they're very important. And there's just one too many things. I'm catching myself all the time realizing that like life's about getting to that room where you just sit down. And for me, it's like I got my wife with me and my kids. My two boys are on the couch and my daughter, 18 months, she's just like playing on the floor. And we're like watching something. It might be an episode of The Office. It might be a Mr. Beast video. It might be something like that. And you put it up. And for a moment, I like step out of my body and I just look around and I just like, I see this room. I see this house like it's not mine. I see these kids and I see my wife like a little bit in a detached way. And I just look and I go, this is a really happy family. This is someone's home, and like, like this is what life's about. You know what I mean? Like this is what really matters. And in that moment, I feel a level of contentment that I don't feel any other time. I feel a moment of peace over my thoughts and over my heart, over my soul. And really in that moment, I have a lot of clarity of like, you wake up in the morning and you get them off to school. I work from home and I have an hour commute, 25 there, 25 minutes back. And I'm always like, come on, we got to get out of the door at 6:55, because I don't want to hit the traffic. If we leave at 7:05, it's like at 15 minutes more traffic. And get them to drum lesson, get them to this, get them to that, do this, get this pack, get this thing, this, blah, 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 blah. And lately I've been in a little season around Tone Junkie of frustration, really dealing with certain processes that are just very difficult, changes in things, and nothing that can't be worked through, but it just takes effort. And effort, yields a good result. But I think it yields the best result when the mind is clear and in the right place and when you have peace. And I've really been realizing, it's these moments right here. These moments that are not actually the most enjoyable moments. It's not as fun just sitting there with your family watching a show as it is, maybe like, skydiving or like getting a new guitar. That's like a rush. Or like going to the water park with your kids, you know what I mean? Or we go to Dollywood. We go on these rides at Dollywood. those moments are a rush of like adrenaline, you know. And my brain, like I told you earlier, this kind of this ADHD brain, you know. They didn't call it that when I was a kid, but now they do. You know, it seeks that dopamine hit. And so that's what you keep going after. But then when you, for a moment, you realize your soul is like telling you, but actually all that work is for this moment right here. Quiet on the couch. Everyone's zoned out on the TV but you. And you look around and you realize there's nothing better in the world than this right here. This is the ultimate. This is it. You know, Jesus is the panacea, but this is peace. You know, this is the enjoyment of your work. All a man can do is enjoy his work under the sun. And I used to think that meant, listen, I used to think when Solomon said, vanity of vanities, all is you know, vain. But the only thing a man can do is enjoy his work under the sun, right? I used to think that meant enjoy your job and you'll never work a day in your life. But now I realize it means this. I really do believe this. It means this. If you work for a purpose, you work for the love of other people, for your kids, your wife, even for other people, you know. I'm not trying to gloat. I recently kind of been more in contact with someone who just has need. And I have a lot of peace when I talk to him and focus on him because we can talk about his need. And my needs seem to fade away. And so I'm watching this guy go through something really, really difficult. Like really difficult. The worst. And when I'm able to talk to him and be his friend or try to be his friend, it seems like I fade away. And so I used to think that meant you just enjoy your work. But now I realize it's that moment. You could do any job, but if you get those moments where your kids are just on the couch watching, laughing, and your wife's good, the food was good, you just ate, it doesn't really matter how many bedrooms. It doesn't matter Tesla or Hyundai or old jalopy. It doesn't matter Supreme, Nike, or Kirkland, or hand-me-downs, or used, free, you know. And one thing I want to really do this year is find myself there more. Find myself there, because I think when I find myself there, all the moments after are better. And that's all. And number 4, continue to have incredible tone.